What's going on, you guys? Ryan Tech Tips here, back at it with another video. In today's video, we are doing a PC build. This PC build comes in at under 2,500 Canadian dollars. That includes shipping and handling, so you can ship this PC directly to your house without going over your $2,500 Canadian dollar budget. So that is pretty cool. Yeah, I know some builds in the past I do go slightly over, so this one I've kept that in mind, and it is under $2,500. So if you just have $2,500, not a penny more to spend, this build is for you. So for our CPU, we have our AMD Ryzen 7 5800X 3.8 GHz. This is an 8-core 16-thread processor, core clock at 3.8 GHz, and a performance boost clock at 4.7 GHz, a TDP of 105 watts. It is an AM4 socket, obviously. Max memory supported is 128 gigabytes. I don't imagine anyone would go over that. It is, of course, 7nm architecture, so it's pretty modern. Not the best, but 7nm is good, definitely a fast chip. And then it is running on the Zen 3 cores, so all of its cores are Zen 3, so the fastest for AMD Ryzen series. Keep in mind, it does not come with a stock cooler. I'm not really sure why, because I know AMD is known for its amazing stock coolers. Nevertheless, the Noctua NH-D15 black will certainly cool it, and will get it to easily 4.7 GHz. Not to worry. Noctua makes some amazing air coolers. They don't do any water cooling, but air cooling and water cooling, unpopular to contrary belief, it is actually, they perform the same, because I learned in science class that even in water cooling, it still gets cooled by air. I'm not really sure why, but there are plenty of videos showing that air cooling and water cooling do have the same performance. I don't really want to get into the technical details, so we can just move on. So we have, for the motherboard, we have the Asus ROG STRIX B450F gaming AM4 motherboard. So this motherboard has 4 RAM slots, DDR4 up to 4400 megahertz, so that's definitely high end. We aren't really getting into DDR5. I'm not planning on doing any DDR5 builds here soon until DDR5 comes down to a reasonable price, or at least a price that is fair, a good value. Then I will start doing a DDR5 build. But yeah, comment down below your opinion on DDR5. Memory, yeah, supports Crossfire and SLI. Of course, it's 2022. Does anyone do that anymore? Probably not. This isn't like 2015, where you kind of needed it. And then, of course, it is an AM4, and those run on the AMD B450 chipset. Max memory supported 128 DDR4 at 4400 megahertz. And then RAM, we have 32 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance DDR4 at 3600 megahertz CL18, 2 16 gig DIMMs, total to 32 gigabytes. If you want more, you can buy 2 kits, and then you'll have 64 gigabytes of DDR4 memory, 64 gigs. 3600 megahertz, and of course you can't always overclock the RAM. This build certainly will support that. And yeah, so 3600 megahertz, it is standard. I wouldn't really go, if you're building a PC in 2022, 32 gigabytes of 3600 megahertz RAM, I wouldn't really go anywhere below that. I know people, I've literally heard people say you can get away with as low as 8 gigabytes of RAM. No, not really. I mean, your game will stutter like crazy. People don't know why until they add extra RAM and be like, oh, okay, now my game doesn't stutter. I guess it was the RAM. Yeah, of course it was the RAM all along. 32, your PC will certainly go above 16 gigabytes. 24, or sorry, yeah, 24 gigabytes of RAM is fine. They don't really sell 24 gigabyte kits, so I just went with 32. You will not regret having 32. It is very nice. Games certainly will go above 16. I've used as much as 22 gigabytes of RAM when I am playing Call of Duty, so don't listen to anyone that says you only need 16. Get 32. Yeah, and then of course it's $182. It is certainly worth it. Storage is a personal preference for everyone. I went with a Western Digital 2 terabyte solid state drive. Of course, you can go with like a 4 terabyte mechanical disk drive and like a small SSD if that's what you want to do. I just went with all SSD storage because it will perform the fastest. Or if you want to spend a little bit more money and go above the $2,500 mark, you can either get a bigger SSD or get a That's what I chose to do. But of course, it's up to you. Do whatever you want. Yeah, so that was just my decision to do. And of course, Ethereum mining is still booming right now. I know some people say it's not as bad as it used to be, but graphics card prices are still through the roof. The RTX 3060, I believe, came out at, it was either 350 or 400, or maybe it was a little higher than that. Maybe it was like 500, but nevertheless, it's $1,000 right now. So we went with a MSI GeForce RTX 3060. This has 12 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory. It will perform well at 1440p, or even 1440p, and of course it will do amazing at 1080p high refresh rate gaming. If you do want to do a little bit of 4K gaming, it will do that, but it's really not what it's designed for. If you want to play maybe an esports title at 4K or an older AAA title at 4K, it will handle that pretty well. Yeah, of course, you could choose to go with a lower-end CPU and a higher-end GPU, but for longevity, it won't really do well. And also, that higher-end Ryzen 7 CPU also unlocks some stuff like video editing and live streaming, which I know that does appeal to a lot of people. I have a Ryzen 7 and with 32 gigabytes of RAM, and I certainly love that just unlocks 4K video editing and live streaming. You could really, you need 8 cores to do 4K video editing. So that's why the Ryzen 7 certainly is the best option. And then for the case, you really, at this price, you should prioritize the performance parts, and really with just a looks part, I mean, you don't really even need a case, but I know for airflow, you certainly should, or, I'd recommend getting a case. This is the NZXT H510 mid-tower case. You can get it in either black or white, and it is 100 Canadian dollars. Certainly a good-looking case. Looks very nice. I don't really have much else to say about it. It gets good airflow. It looks expensive. And you can get cases cheaper, but you will certainly sacrifice airflow. And you can get cases more expensive, but then you would sacrifice performance for your $2,500 budget. And, okay, for the last part, we have the Corsair RM750 watt, 80 plus gold certified fully modular power supply. This is an amazing power supply at its $125 price. It will perform amazing. The estimated wattage for this build is 400 watts, so you have nearly double to play around with, and this is a very efficient power supply, so you will not have to worry about wasting any power. and the total price is $2,438.21. So, again, this is a very good budget build, and I know some people would say $2,500 really isn't budget, but I mean, at this price, again, you probably wouldn't be having to pay $2,500 if it wasn't for the mining, cryptocurrency mining. But yeah, okay. Anyway, that will end it. Make sure you sound off all of your comments in the comment section down below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about this build. What would you do at $2,500? What build would you do? And also, what other budget build do you want to see next? With that said, I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.